Ilara, the princess of Zithara, sat quietly in her chamber, staring at the polished floor. The walls around her shimmered with soft light, casting delicate patterns on the smooth surface. Outside, the palace gardens stretched endlessly, filled with alien flora glowing under the twin suns. Yet all of this beauty could not calm the unease twisting in her chest. Today, she would meet her human husband for the first time. Humans. The very word brought a shiver. They were strong, unpredictable, and often reckless. Stories from the Elder Council painted them as aggressive conquerors, clever and stubborn in ways that aliens did not fully understand. The thought of sharing her life, her home, and perhaps her heart with one filled her with apprehension. The sound of approaching footsteps made her straighten. Servants entered quietly, carrying garments woven with Zithara's finest silks. Their colors shimmered like sunlight through water, pale greens and golds blending into the gentle glow of the chamber. "Princess Ilara," one said softly, "the human envoy has arrived. The council awaits your presence." She had prepared for this day in every way possible, practicing formal greetings, perfecting gestures, and memorizing the subtleties of human communication she had studied from reports and holograms. Yet nothing could replace the reality of facing a human up close. The palace hall was vast and gleaming, the floors smooth enough to reflect the light from the hanging crystals. The council, composed of the most respected Zitharan nobles, stood in silent anticipation. At the far end, a figure waited. A man, human, tall with broad shoulders, calm eyes, and an air of confidence that was almost disturbing in its simplicity. He stepped forward, bowing slightly. "Princess Ilara," he said, his voice steady, neither loud nor soft, but confident. "I am Marcus Hale. We are honored to have you among us." The council was used to arrogance or cold calculation from foreign envoys, not sincere admiration. Ilara led him through the hall, walking past towering statues of past Zitharan leaders. Each statue bore intricate designs that told the stories of victories, wisdom, and unity. Marcus walked beside her, not too fast, not too slow, moving with a balance of awareness and ease. "I have studied your history," Marcus said quietly, "and I admire your people's resilience. You have maintained harmony in ways Earth has never achieved. I hope to learn more." His eyes, calm and steady, betrayed nothing of fear, yet spoke of curiosity and perhaps something akin to understanding. The first day was formal, filled with meetings, discussions of alliances, and cultural exchanges. Ilara observed Marcus closely. He asked questions not to assert dominance, but to learn. He listened, often repeating or clarifying points to ensure he understood. When he spoke, he did so with care, choosing words that acknowledged Zitharan achievements and wisdom. The other nobles watched closely. Some were skeptical, whispering among themselves. Others seemed almost startled at how human behavior could be both intelligent and respectful. Ilara felt her unease slowly shift. Fear was still there, yes, but now curiosity and something else, cautious intrigue, had begun to take root. Later, she guided him through the palace gardens. The twin suns dipped low, bathing the plants in soft gold and violet hues. Strange flowers pulsed with light, and the air shimmered with the scent of unknown blooms. Marcus walked beside her silently for a moment, then paused, touching a glowing leaf gently. "This is beautiful," he said softly. "I've never seen anything like it." Perhaps this one could be different. The walk continued, and they spoke of many things: history, culture, philosophy, and the arts of both their worlds. Marcus shared stories of Earth, of cities rising from deserts, forests spanning hundreds of miles, oceans deep and endless. He spoke of human ingenuity, of small acts of kindness that had shaped entire communities, of struggles where courage and compassion had changed outcomes. Ilara listened, surprised at how his perspective was not dominated by conquest or power, but by understanding and the desire to do good. His words carried a quiet strength. He did not boast. He did not manipulate. He simply shared truthfully what he knew, acknowledging human flaws but emphasizing potential. As night fell, the palace hall glimmered with soft lights from floating orbs. The council reconvened for the evening banquet. Ilara led Marcus to the center of attention, introducing him formally to every member. He greeted each with a respectful bow, speaking their names correctly and asking questions that showed genuine interest in their lives and achievements. The nobles whispered among themselves, astonished at the humans' manners. Some had expected fear, rebellion, or weakness. Instead, they saw intelligence, respect, and thoughtfulness. Ilara's apprehension melted further. She still had questions, yes, doubts, but now they were accompanied by possibility. When the banquet ended, they walked to a quiet terrace overlooking the city. Lights twinkled below, reflecting off canals and towers, painting a mosaic of life and beauty. Marcus leaned on the railing, gazing at the view. "Your city is incredible," he said. "But what amazes me most is not the architecture or technology. It's the spirit of your people. They are disciplined, creative, and capable of great compassion. I hope to serve them well." He was cautious yet confident, strong yet gentle, clever yet humble. She could not deny the growing respect she felt for him. For the first time, she allowed herself to wonder if humans, when guided by integrity and purpose, could truly be noble. Not just warriors or conquerors, but partners in wisdom, protectors, and allies in ways even the Zitharans had never expected. She turned to Marcus, curiosity bright in her eyes. "Captain Hale, tell me, do humans always act with such care?" She could feel a shift within her, something that might grow into trust, even friendship, and perhaps later something deeper. For now, she let herself watch him quietly, seeing a human in his true form, not the rumors, not the warnings, but a being capable of wisdom, respect, and nobility. As the twin moons rose, bathing the palace in silver light, Elara felt a strange calm. Fear had not disappeared entirely, but it had been tempered by curiosity and admiration. Marcus Hale, this human who had stepped into her life, carried something alien to Zithara, not arrogance, not recklessness, not domination, but true integrity. And she, Princess of Zithara, could not help but wonder what this union might truly bring. Tonight, she thought, humanity might be more than she had ever imagined. Days passed since Marcus Hale's arrival, and the palace buzzed with activity. Elara observed him closely, noticing how he interacted with her people. He walked among the servants and guards, speaking respectfully, asking questions, listening carefully. Every interaction showed thoughtfulness and patience that few humans were credited with. The palace staff whispered among themselves, astonished by his behavior. Elara, however, remained cautious. She had seen many leaders in her lifetime, some noble, some cunning. Humans were a mystery. Could someone from a species so different truly understand her people? Could she trust him? The questions lingered, sharp and unrelenting. One morning she found Marcus in the training hall. The great chamber was filled with Zitharan guards practicing combat drills. Marcus was observing, not participating, but watching intently. He had a notebook in hand and made careful notes, his eyes moving with sharp focus. Elara approached, curious. "Captain Hale," she said, her voice steady, "what do you see that we do not?" "Your soldiers are strong individually, but with a few adjustments, their effectiveness could increase. Small changes can have a big impact." Red lights flashed, and the distant sound of sirens filled the air. The council chamber summoned everyone urgently. Elara ran, Marcus following swiftly. Outside, chaos was beginning to unfold. A group of rogue nobles had mobilized a force to capture the princess. Their goal was to pressure the council into ceding power and influence. The situation was dire. Elara's heart pounded, fear rising like a storm. She had expected political challenges, but nothing had prepared her for this. Marcus stayed close, his calmness steady, a stark contrast to the panic around her. "Princess," he said quietly, "stay close to me, trust me, and follow my lead." The enemy moved swiftly, skilled and determined. Guards scrambled to intercept, but Marcus already had a plan forming. "Split into two groups," he ordered calmly, his voice clear. "One group secures the princess, the other intercepts them. Move through the side corridors, avoid the main hall, they expect that." Then, without hesitation, they followed. Marcus led Elara through narrow passageways, using routes most guards would not think to take. His knowledge of strategy, his ability to anticipate the enemy's moves, was impressive. They reached a balcony overlooking the courtyard where the rogue faction had begun its assault. Marcus crouched beside her, whispering instructions. "Wait for my signal. When I move, follow me exactly. Do not rush, do not panic." Marcus signaled to them with precise gestures, coordinating a countermove. Within minutes, the rogue nobles were caught in their own ambush. Trapped, their leaders surrendered, realizing too late that the human had outmaneuvered them without ever raising a weapon. Elara could hardly believe what she had seen. Marcus had done more than protect her. He had outsmarted a faction of the court, not with brute force, but with intelligence, planning, and insight. Her fear began to shift. The human she had dreaded had proven himself capable in ways she could not ignore. Later, in the quiet of her chambers, she watched Marcus interact with the palace staff. He spoke to the injured guards with gentle words, checking their wounds and offering comfort. No arrogance, no demands, just care and attention. "Why do you do this?" she asked quietly when he noticed her watching. Marcus looked up, calm and serious. Because it is right. Strength without compassion is meaningless. Courage without care is hollow. If we wish to lead, we must protect, understand, and guide, not just command. The words were simple, but they carried truth and honor. Humans, she realized, could be more than their reputation suggested. Perhaps some humans could embody qualities even the noblest Zitherans aspired to. Days continued with training and planning for potential threats. Marcus adapted quickly to Zitharan culture, learning subtle gestures and etiquette while maintaining his authenticity. He asked questions, listened to answers, and adjusted strategies with ease. Slowly, Elara's fear melted into admiration. One evening, she found him in the palace gardens, alone under the soft glow of the moons. He stood still, observing the alien flowers, their light pulsing gently in the night. Elara approached quietly. "You are often alone," she remarked. He turned, smiling faintly. "I observe, I think, I learn. Leadership is not only about action, it is about understanding what is at stake." "Your people will never understand you fully," she said softly. "Many expect humans to be reckless, cruel, or greedy. That not all of them were threats. That some, like Marcus, might inspire loyalty, respect, and even admiration." She felt her heart open slightly to a new understanding, a cautious hope. The next morning, Marcus joined her in observing the palace defenses. He moved among the commanders with ease, listening, suggesting, coordinating. His methods were different, blending human adaptability with Zitharan discipline. Where the palace had relied on rigid routines, Marcus introduced flexibility, teaching soldiers to anticipate, improvise, and work together more effectively. Elara watched him closely, her admiration growing. Here was a human who understood leadership not as domination, but as service. He risked himself to protect others, thought carefully before acting, and valued collaboration above pride. When the council gathered that evening, even the skeptical nobles noticed the difference. Marcus spoke with clarity and humility, addressing concerns without condescension, answering questions without evasion. His presence inspired trust, not fear. Elara realized that she had been wrong to fear him. Humans were unpredictable, yes, but Marcus was proof that nobility was not limited to species. It was defined by actions, courage, and integrity. As she retired to her chambers that night, she reflected on the events of the past week. Fear had been replaced partially by curiosity and respect. Marcus had shown her that humans could be more than their reputation. They could be wise, compassionate, and brave. Perhaps, she thought quietly, they could even be trusted and maybe admired. Looking out at the twin moons rising over Zithara, she felt a small, cautious hope. For the first time, she considered the possibility that her marriage might not be a burden, but a chance to witness greatness. Not the greatness of titles or power, but the greatness of character. And Marcus Hale, human and stranger in a foreign world, had shown her the first glimpse of that truth. The calm of the palace was gone. Word had arrived that a neighboring system, one that had long viewed Zithara as weak, was preparing a strike. The council had convened immediately, their faces grim with concern. Reports indicated that the attackers were skilled, with ships faster and more numerous than Zithara's own fleet. Panic rippled quietly among the nobles, but Marcus remained composed. Elara watched him closely. While others debated and argued, Marcus moved among the strategists, quietly observing, asking pointed questions, and taking careful notes. He did not raise his voice. He did not show frustration. Yet his presence carried authority, a kind of calm confidence that demanded attention. "Captain Hale," Elara said, approaching him as he studied a three-dimensional map of the star system. "How can we hope to defend against such numbers?" "Watch and learn, Princess. Sometimes, strategy is more about patience and clever placement than brute strength. We have fewer ships, yes, but every movement can be decisive if we act wisely." He identified weak points in Zithara's defenses, but instead of demanding immediate action, he suggested small, calculated adjustments. He proposed coordinated patrols, using faster ships to draw the enemy into ambushes. He suggested utilizing Zithara's natural gravitational fields to slow incoming vessels, turning the environment itself into an ally. Elara was impressed. The humans were said to be reckless, prone to charging without thought. Yet Marcus's tactics were precise, calculated, and effective. He respected Zitharan traditions while introducing human ingenuity, blending the best of both worlds. That night, as the council debated endlessly, Elara watched Marcus train a squad of mixed human and Zitharan soldiers. His instructions were clear and simple, yet effective. He demonstrated maneuvers personally, sometimes risking his own safety to ensure understanding. Guards who had been skeptical of humans began to nod in appreciation. Even the veterans were astonished at his ability to anticipate every move of the enemy. Elara found herself drawn into the activity. She could not help but admire his calm under pressure, his willingness to act decisively when needed. Humans, she realized, might be unpredictable, but Marcus's unpredictability was an asset, not a threat. The following day, intelligence arrived that the enemy fleet had launched. Marcus and the Zitharan commanders coordinated a rapid defense, placing ships strategically and preparing their pilots for ambush. Every order Marcus gave was precise. Every decision seemed to consider the safety of his forces while maximizing effectiveness. Elara observed from the command balcony, her pulse quickening as enemy ships appeared on the scanners. The humans and Zitharans worked together seamlessly under Marcus's direction. His calm voice carried over the comms, guiding pilots, adjusting formations, and keeping morale high. A sudden report startled the room. A critical outpost was under attack. Many expected Marcus to panic, to demand immediate retaliation, but he remained steady. "Divert only the minimum forces needed," he instructed. "We will reinforce the rest once they are engaged. Do not overcommit, stay flexible." Marcus guided Zitharan pilots through daring maneuvers, often placing himself in positions to shield the weaker ships or to provide vital cover. He worked tirelessly, never faltering, never showing fatigue, his eyes constantly scanning, calculating, adjusting. At one point, a young Zitharan pilot miscalculated a maneuver, placing her vessel in danger. Marcus reacted instantly, using his own ship to intercept and protect her. The young pilot's eyes widened in shock and gratitude. Elara felt a surge of admiration. He risked himself not out of recklessness, but out of care and responsibility. Hours passed. The enemy, frustrated and confused by the humans' tactics, began to falter. Zitharan ships, guided by Marcus's strategy, gained the upper hand. By the end of the engagement, the fleet had forced the attackers to retreat. Casualties were minimal thanks to Marcus's foresight and planning. The council convened afterward, exhausted but relieved. The elders who had once doubted Marcus and all humans now looked upon him with respect. Whispers of admiration spread quietly through the chamber. Elara approached him, her heart pounding. "You were incredible," she said softly. "I never imagined a human could be so precise, so careful, and so brave." "I merely guided them." He was everywhere at once, observing, instructing, helping, and leading by example. Every interaction revealed a deeper layer of his character. He did not seek praise, yet inspired it. He did not demand loyalty, yet earned it effortlessly. Elara found herself observing him constantly. She watched how he treated every soldier equally, how he encouraged cooperation, and how he remained calm even when plans failed or unexpected problems arose. In his presence, fear seemed to lose its hold. She began to see what the council had yet to admit, that humans, at least some, could embody a nobility beyond brute strength or social status. One evening she found him in the palace garden watching the moons rise. The twin moons cast silver light across the plants, highlighting their strange, glowing beauty. He stood silently, arms crossed, a contemplative expression on his face. "You think too much," she said, approaching quietly. He looked at her, eyes calm. "Perhaps. But thinking carefully can save lives. I feared you would be unpredictable, dangerous." For the first time, she considered that humans, at their best, could be as noble, courageous, and honorable as any Zitharan. Perhaps more. The next morning, reports came of rogue factions attempting to exploit the recent battle, hoping to destabilize the palace further. Marcus prepared immediately, devising a plan to prevent chaos while ensuring no unnecessary risk was taken. Once again, he demonstrated ingenuity, blending human adaptability with Zitharan discipline. The operation succeeded. The palace remained secure, the factions subdued, and the people reassured. Marcus did not seek praise. He merely worked quietly, efficiently, and wisely. Elara could no longer deny the transformation within herself. Fear had not vanished entirely, but it had been replaced largely by trust, admiration, and respect. Marcus had shown her the truth. Humanity, when guided by courage, wisdom, and integrity, could rise above expectations. Humans could be noble in ways her people had rarely imagined. That evening, as they walked through the palace corridors, Elara spoke quietly. "Captain Hale, you have changed my view of humans. I see now that courage is not only physical but moral. That wisdom is not limited by species, but by choices. For the first time, she considered the possibility that their union might not be a burden, but a chance to witness greatness, to learn, and perhaps to grow alongside someone extraordinary. The palace, once filled with fear and tension, now carried a sense of cautious optimism. Under Marcus Hale's guidance, human ingenuity and courage had already begun to leave a mark. And Elara, the princess who once feared him, was beginning to understand that true nobility knows no species. Tonight, she thought, humans could inspire admiration, trust, and even hope across the stars. And Marcus Hale had proven it, not with words, but through action, courage, and unwavering care. The morning dawned over Zithera with an unusual calm. The twin suns rose slowly, painting the sky with soft shades of orange and violet. Birds with crystalline wings glided through the palace gardens, and the gentle hum of alien machinery blended with the morning breeze. For a moment, the palace seemed peaceful, almost serene. But peace on Zithera was fragile. Elara had learned that the hard way. Intelligence reports indicated that a sudden seismic disturbance had begun deep within the planet's crust. The palace and surrounding city were at risk. No one knew exactly how severe it would be, only that it could be catastrophic. Elara felt a shiver of worry. She had faced threats from humans, rogue nobles, and neighboring systems, but this was different. Nature could not be reasoned with. Its power was immense, unpredictable, and absolute. Marcus Hale stood calmly in the central command chamber, reviewing sensor data and coordinating with the palace engineers. His human mind, she realized, seemed to thrive under pressure. While others panicked or argued, he remained composed, calculating risks and finding solutions. "Princess Elara," he said quietly, "we must prepare evacuation routes immediately. The palace cannot withstand a direct impact. We need to organize civilians, prioritize safety, and maintain communication across all sectors." Marcus had a way of turning panic into purpose, transforming chaos into a plan. They began moving quickly. Marcus coordinated with the palace guards, engineers, and human envoys stationed on Zithera. He divided responsibilities clearly, ensuring every group knew its role. Every order he gave was concise and practical, minimizing confusion. The first tremor hit in the late morning. The ground shook violently, knocking over decorations and shaking the crystal panels in the palace halls. Alarms blared throughout the city. Panic erupted among civilians, guards, and palace staff alike. Marcus acted immediately. He guided Elara to the balcony overlooking the main square, where thousands of citizens had gathered in fear. His eyes scanned the crowd, noting weak points in the evacuation flow. "Direct them through the side corridors," he instructed. "Use the gardens as cover, keep them moving steadily, not in a rush." His voice carried over the comms, instructing teams, redirecting traffic, and calming those in panic. Where many would have shouted or faltered, Marcus acted as though he had done this countless times. The tremors worsened. Towers swayed, bridges groaned, and the city's canals began to overflow. Yet Marcus remained composed. He personally inspected damaged areas, helping engineers reinforce supports and redirect debris. His presence inspired confidence. Guards and civilians alike followed his instructions without hesitation, even as the ground continued to quake beneath their feet. Elara followed him from sector to sector, seeing the human in action. He lifted fallen rubble, coordinated teams of rescue workers, and reassured frightened citizens. He worked tirelessly, never asking for thanks, never seeking attention. Each action revealed his true character, courageous, selfless, and deeply concerned for the safety of others. At one point, a young child became trapped under a collapsed archway. The child's parents were frozen with fear. Marcus knelt beside the rubble, assessing the situation. He directed nearby workers to stabilize the debris and carefully lifted the arch just enough to free the child. He handed the child to its parents, smiling gently. "Stay calm," he said. "Safety comes first. You are both fine now." What remained was awe and admiration. He had proven that courage was not only about facing enemies, but about protecting life, guiding others, and remaining calm when all seemed lost. As the day wore on, the palace and city continued to face tremors and aftershocks. Buildings were damaged, canals flooded, and fires began in several districts. Marcus coordinated multiple rescue teams simultaneously, delegating responsibilities while personally checking the most dangerous areas. Elara followed him tirelessly, noticing how he treated every person with respect and care. He did not prioritize humans over Zitherans or soldiers over civilians. Every life mattered equally. Where others might have panicked or fled, Marcus acted decisively, ensuring safety and order with intelligence and heart. The council, who had once doubted him, now observed in silence, their skepticism replaced by astonishment. He had managed to turn disaster into a controlled operation, and while the city suffered damage, the number of casualties was far less than anyone had expected. Late in the afternoon, a massive tremor struck near the palace itself. Crystal panels shattered, debris fell from the ceilings, and the floor shook violently. Marcus immediately grabbed Elara's hand. "Stay close to me," he said. They ran through the palace corridors, helping guards lift debris and guide trapped civilians. Elara had never seen a human act with such unwavering courage and presence of mind. He seemed to anticipate danger before it struck, moving with a combination of speed, intelligence, and care that kept everyone around him alive. Finally, as evening approached, the tremors subsided. The city was battered but intact. Fires had been extinguished, the injured had been treated, and the citizens were beginning to rebuild. Marcus stood on a balcony overlooking the city, exhausted but composed. Elara joined him, silently observing the lights of the palace reflecting in the canals below. "You have done more than I imagined any human could," Elara said softly. "I feared you once, but now I see nobility is not limited to species. It is defined by courage, care, and wisdom." Fear had transformed completely into admiration, respect, and something deeper, a recognition of the human's true character. Marcus had not only saved lives, he had inspired hope, showing that courage, intelligence, and compassion could overcome even the fiercest challenges. The council approached, bowing in respect. They praised Marcus for his leadership, acknowledging that his strategy and care had saved countless lives. Even the most skeptical nobles could not deny the truth. Humans, at least this human, could embody a level of nobility and wisdom rarely seen in Zithera. As night fell, the palace gardens glowed softly in the moonlight. Marcus and Elara walked together, side by side, sharing observations and reflections on the day's events. "You were remarkable today," Elara said, her voice quiet. "Not just in skill or strategy, but in everything. The way you cared for others, the way you stayed calm, the way you led without demanding attention. It is extraordinary." "I only did what anyone should do when faced with responsibility. It is not extraordinary, it is necessary. Nobility is not given. It is shown in actions, in choices, in how we treat those around us." Marcus had shown her the truth. Humans could be noble, courageous, and wise. They could inspire admiration, respect, and even trust. That night, as she gazed at the twin moons, Elara allowed herself to hope. Hope for her people, for her marriage, and for the possibilities that humans might bring to Zithera. Marcus Hale had transformed fear into respect, chaos into order, and uncertainty into confidence. He had proven that true nobility transcends species. And for the first time, Elara looked at her human husband not with fear, but with admiration, trust, and a deepening sense of connection. The days following the disaster were filled with rebuilding. Zithera's people worked tirelessly to repair the damaged buildings, restore flooded streets, and tend to the injured. Everywhere, humans and Zitherans worked side by side, coordinated under Marcus Hale's guidance. His leadership had not only saved lives, but also inspired unity among the palace staff, soldiers, and civilians alike. Elara observed him constantly. She had watched him act with courage, strategy, and care in battle and in disaster. Now, as he coordinated the rebuilding, she realized that his nobility extended beyond conflict. He treated every person equally, valuing their skills, listening to their concerns, and showing patience even to those who had doubted him. "Princess Elara," Marcus said quietly, approaching her in the courtyard where volunteers were clearing rubble. "We have made good progress, but there is still more to do. The people need structure, guidance, and hope. They will rebuild faster if they know they are part of something bigger than themselves." She had begun to understand that humans, unlike many Zitherans, often inspired action through example and encouragement rather than authority alone. Marcus led not by command, but by participation, demonstrating the value of every task, no matter how small. The palace council convened in the main hall. Traditionally, they would have discussed rebuilding strategies among themselves, but Marcus was invited to speak. His calm demeanor filled the room, and his words carried clarity and respect. He acknowledged the courage and skill of Zithera's people, praising soldiers, engineers, and volunteers alike. "Each of you has played a vital role," Marcus said. "We face challenges because of nature, politics, and circumstance. But strength, courage, and wisdom are not limited to any species. Today, we have worked together to restore hope, and tomorrow we will build a future stronger than before. Ilara watched as their perception of him shifted. Marcus was not just a human envoy. He had become a symbol of unity, intelligence, and moral strength. After the meeting, she found him in the palace gardens, resting briefly on a bench surrounded by glowing alien flowers. The twin moons cast silver light across his face. He looked tired, yet his posture was steady, his presence calm. "You inspire more than respect, Captain Hale," she said softly, sitting beside him. "You inspire trust. You have shown my people, and me, what humans are capable of when they choose honor over fear. Every choice we make defines us." The next day, a ceremony was held in the palace courtyard. The people of Zithra gathered, along with nobles, soldiers, and the human envoy team. Marcus was invited to address them, not as a guest, but as a respected leader who had earned their trust. He spoke with humility, acknowledging the bravery of Zithra's citizens. "Today is not about one person," he said. "It is about all of us working together, learning from one another, and striving to create a better future. We are stronger because of unity, courage, and respect. These are values that transcend worlds." Civilians felt hope they had not known since the disaster began. Even the elder council, once doubtful, now recognized the truth. Marcus Hale embodied qualities that were rare, noble, and worthy of respect. After the ceremony, Ilara stood beside him, quietly observing the people. She had come to a profound realization. Fear had no place where integrity and courage existed. Marcus had earned not only her trust but her admiration in its fullest sense. She understood now that nobility was not about species, birth, or strength alone. It was about how one lived, acted, and inspired others. "Captain Hale," she said softly, "you have shown me the true meaning of nobility, not just courage, but care, wisdom, and integrity. I feared you once, but now I am proud to stand beside you. Together, we can achieve more than either of us could alone." Over the following weeks, Marcus continued to work tirelessly alongside the citizens and soldiers of Zithra. He coordinated rebuilding projects, assisted engineers, and encouraged volunteers. Everywhere he went, he showed humility, respect, and thoughtfulness. His example transformed the palace and the city, demonstrating that leadership could be earned through action rather than inherited through title. Ilara observed him, inspired. She realized that humans were capable of greatness beyond what many Zitharans had believed. They were brave, adaptable, and compassionate. Marcus Hale had revealed that potential in the clearest and most profound way. One evening, as the twin moons rose high, casting silver light across the palace gardens, Ilara walked beside him. The city below was peaceful, rebuilt stronger and more united than before. Citizens moved through the streets with renewed confidence, soldiers trained with focus, and nobles spoke quietly of the lessons learned from Marcus's leadership. "You have done more than I imagined any human could," Ilara said softly, glancing at him. "You have earned the trust and admiration of my people. I see now that humans are capable of true nobility, guided by courage, care, and wisdom. True strength is not measured by dominance or fear, but by how we protect, guide, and inspire others. That is what I hope to continue showing." Marcus had proven, through action and integrity, that humans could inspire hope, courage, and unity across worlds. In the days that followed, the Palace Council formally recognized Marcus's contributions. They praised his intelligence, strategic skill, and unwavering care for the people. Nobles who had once whispered doubts now spoke openly of their admiration. The citizens, inspired by his actions, embraced a new sense of unity and purpose. Ilara realized that Marcus's presence had changed more than just the palace. He had shown her people, and herself, that true nobility is not confined to species or heritage, but revealed through action, courage, and integrity. That night, as the palace grew quiet, Ilara and Marcus stood on the balcony overlooking the city. Lights reflected in the canals, painting a mosaic of life and hope. The twin moons glimmered above, and the air carried a gentle calm. "You have changed everything," Ilara said softly. "Not just my view of humans, but my understanding of courage, leadership, and nobility." She understood now that her fear had been replaced by admiration, her skepticism by trust, and her uncertainty by hope. Marcus had revealed the best of humanity, not through words, but through action, integrity, and unwavering care. She reached for his hand, a small gesture that carried profound meaning. Marcus took it gently, their fingers intertwining naturally. They stood together not as alien and human, but as partners, united in purpose and respect, ready to face whatever the future might bring. The city below buzzed with life, and the palace was filled with a quiet strength that had never existed before. The people of Zithera had witnessed the nobility of humanity through Marcus Hale, and Elara knew that their world, and her heart, had been forever changed. As the twin moons shone brightly over the palace, she realized that fear had been replaced by admiration, admiration by trust, and trust by a deep and abiding respect. Marcus had revealed the truth. Humans could embody nobility in ways even the most advanced civilizations had never imagined. Tonight, Elara thought, she would sleep not in fear, but in the quiet certainty that together, human and Zitheran, they had the strength, wisdom, and courage to face whatever the future held. And in that knowledge, she found peace, hope, and an enduring sense of admiration for the man who had once seemed so fearsome, and had proven to be truly noble.